My name is RaeVaughn. I'm a member of the admissions team, and I'm joined by a number of my colleagues across the MBA and the LGO office, as well as some current students that you'll hear from later on in the session. But I'm super excited that you're joining us and look forward to you hearing everything that a Sloan opportunity has to offer for the MBA or LGO program. For our students who are from an international background, given a lot of the turmoil as it pertains to international students here in the States, as far as MIT is concerned, our president, Sally Kornbluth, shared this statement at the top of this year, I believe it was. But we want to start this webinar letting you know that MIT would not be MIT without you. So as there, again, are concerns about whether or not international students are welcomed here in the States, as far as MIT is concerned, we are more than happy to have you, and our community would not be what it is today without you being here with us. So rest assured, we're more than happy to have you, and we'll hope that you take these words as an endorsement or affirmation of MIT's commitment to its international students. To start us off, for all of our webinars, we feel that it's important to highlight MIT Sloan mission because it is indeed, or we are indeed a mission-driven institution. So much so that these words that you see on the screen are plastered on our wall in the main building in E62. And it just serves as a constant reminder to our students what their purpose is while they're here. And that's to become principled, innovative leaders who improve the world and generate ideas that advance management practice. From the moment our students are stepping foot into any of the classes that they're taking each semester or involved in any of the different clubs or organizations that they're a part of, this is at the forefront of the way that they navigate our halls and our classes each day. Understanding that the mission for them while they're here is, again, to fulfill this mantra or mission that we have for them as far as the student body is concerned. Next, I want to quickly just highlight our portfolios of programs. New this year, we're actually going to be piloting an evening MBA that is going to be available to folks who are in the local distance to campus. You will be required to be in person. But we wanted to share this really quickly so you can get a glimpse of all the different students that you have the opportunity to interact with during your time here while you're at Sloan, with the exception of the MBA Early program, which is a pipeline feeder into the MBA, and the Executive MBA program, which is on the far right side of the screen, or my right of the screen. The Executive MBA, those individuals typically come to campus on the weekends and have classes on the weekends, so there's not too high contact with that population. However, everyone else that you see in between when you look to your right or your left, as far as your classes are concerned, when you're in the elective period, are going to be folks who are in any of these different programs. And that's something that we find that's exciting as far as our just school is concerned, because there's great opportunities for collaborations between students in any of these different programs as far as startups are concerned, clubs are concerned. And when you bring in that wealth of experience, that tends to be really beneficial for the overall student body, since individuals are going to tackle certain challenges or things that may present themselves from the different experiences that they've encountered over the course of their professional career. Next, I'm going to have our students come up and introduce themselves.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's so great to meet you. I'm super happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Isabel Arias, and I recently just graduated from the MBA at MIT Sloan. Before Sloan, I spent several years working in MasterCard Advisors, which is like the consulting business line in MasterCard. I'm originally from Colombia, so I was working in consulting projects across Latin America and the Caribbean, and then I moved to the US to work from the New York office. During my time at Sloan, I served as a co-president of the Latin American Business Club. I was a community building chair, which I loved, and it was a fantastic opportunity for me to develop further into my leadership skills. And I was also a teaching assistant for courses on AI and quantum computing, which was amazing for me to learn more about what MIT has to offer. So thank you for being here. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help you with them.
Thanks, Isabella. I can go next. There's probably a typo on the slide. Isabella should be MBA 26. So just
Thank
uh,
you.
I'm Aditya. I'm a rising second year. Class of 2027 at in the full-time MBA program at MIT Sloan. I was a software engineer before this, 3 years in the Bay Area and then 2 years in India in Bangalore before that at Big Tech. And my time at Sloan, I'm prioritizing entrepreneurship and focusing on exploring particular areas of passion for me. Right now, I'm exploring the senior care space and seeing if if I'm very passionate about a particular problem in this space to start something. My my favorite leadership role so far at Sloan has been leading the Silicon Valley Trek, which takes 80 plus MBA students to the valley for 3 days and makes them meet a bunch of startups over there. And I'm looking forward to meeting with you all and answering any questions and being of any help. Uh, Thank you.
Hey everyone, saving the best for last as usual. Just kidding, just kidding. Aditya and Isabel are awesome. Um, I'm Dakota. I'm in the LGO program, which is a little bit more unique than the MBA program. We're a little bit sadistic, so we decided to get an engineering degree as well as pursue the MBA. Um, what I was doing before LGO and before Sloan, I was in the auto industry and I worked in battery technology for quite a bit. So I was at General Motors, and then I was at Stanley Black& Decker, which makes power tools on their battery R&D group. How I've been involved in Sloan, a lot of involvement within LGO. We have international plant trek, so the LGO group goes to Asia usually every spring. So I was a part of the group that planned that. But I'm also the incoming vice president for the Asian American Alliance. So anyone who's coming in the fall will probably see me at a lot of Asian American events. So looking forward to helping anyone and everyone on the call with any questions and deciding on where to apply and why LGO and Sloan is a great place.
Thank you all for those wonderful introductions. So to get us started in terms of interactive hands-on learning, the motto at MIT is actually mens et manus, which translates from Latin to English to mind in hand. So we want to make sure that you're able to not only apply the things that you're learning as far as theories are concerned to real-world experiences as far as hands-on experiences are concerned. So through things like action learning labs are ways that our students are able to, really apply a lot of the different things that they're learning in the classroom into real world experiences. And when I transition to the student portion of this for this piece, I'm gonna allow our students to talk to you a little bit about how they've interfaced with action learning labs in the ways that they've been able to again apply some of the different things that they've been able to learn in the classroom to real world situations. But in addition to the Action Learning Labs here at Sloan, we really pride ourselves on making sure that you, as far as the students are concerned, in the driver's seat of your experience. So once you wrap up your core semester, you do have the opportunity to take anywhere upwards of 250 electives specific to Sloan and across the broader MIT. So for example, if you're somebody who is passionate about world languages and you want to maybe pursue world languages while you're also pursuing your MBA, unfortunately, we don't have language classes here at Sloan, but MIT undergrad does allow you to take, world languages if that's something that you're passionate about. Some other cool opportunities if you're somebody who's enthusiastic about maybe becoming a DJ part-time, or you're a poker enthusiast, there are opportunities to take classes at MIT undergrad on those topics as well. Um, so making sure again that you are in the driver's seat as far as your academic experience is concerned is something that we really pride ourselves on here at MIT Sloan. And I'd love to hear from our students if they can maybe talk a little bit about ways that the innovative hands-on learning has impacted their experiences while they've been here at Sloan, whether it be through action learning labs or elective courses that they've taken across the institute.
I think I did the majority of the action learning courses because I thought it was just absolutely fantastic for you to be able to apply all of the theory that you learned during class into a project that will actually, like, where you will actually see the impact of your work. I was especially touched by one of the action learning courses that I took, which is Global Entrepreneurship Lab. It's very famous. It's called G Lab. I did my G Lab project with a unicorn in the Middle East, and I was able to visit a incredible company that is in it's a gifting powerhouse. Um, we designed their AI strategy and were able to travel all the way to Jordan. We were in Saudi, we were in Kuwait, and also in the UAE to be able to implement part of that strategy. We partnered up with this amazing company and saw it come live. So it was incredibly achieving and very exciting to see how AI is transforming business currently and how it is making it work. And it was just amazing. This is also a course that is taught by Simon Johnson, who is a Nobel Prize winner for economics and was granted in 2024. So it was an incredible opportunity to work with him and Michelle Anna, who manages the course.
Yeah, G Lab is totally the most sought out of after course at Sloan. I'm going to share an example outside of Sloan that I took a course that I took in second semester at the Media Lab. So it's called the AI Venture Studio. And this semester, the focus was entirely on AI agents. So the best part about the course, I mean, although I am coming from an engineering background, software engineering background, uh, a majority of the class, I would say like 80%, 90% of the class didn't come from that background. But going to what Ray mentioned about like the men's at Manus motto of MIT, like most people were building AI agents outside of in that class. And then at the end of the semester, people were pitching to all of these top VCs from Boston area. Most people wouldn't have imagined doing that coming into Sloan, but thanks to the culture over here, that people were making their GitHub accounts and like learning all sorts of new coding technologies like Cursor, etc., and Cloud Code to participate in the course, which was, in my opinion, an amazing exposure that very few schools, MBA schools, would be able to provide.
I will share, I know for and Dakota, I don't you touched on this a little bit earlier. You said that I believe you all will be traveling to Asia this year. I know historically
Yes.
the LGO program has had opportunities, I believe it was last year actually, to travel to Germany and actually work with Porsche, which was I think a really unique experience as far as the program was concerned, and just another example of ways that you're able to apply a lot of the different things that you're learning in the classroom again to real world situations, and the fact that the travel component is built in to that program as far as LGO is concerned really makes it a
Mm.
unique experience. So if you wanted to maybe touch on just maybe your excitement about having that opportunity to travel.
Yeah, yeah. So that's through Ops Lab, so Operations Lab. LGO, a lot of the curriculum is tailored towards operations. Historically, the program was founded within manufacturing, and so the whole idea of LGO, and it was called Leaders for Manufacturing back in the day, was to develop leaders to lead operations. And so Operations Lab, which is also mostly run by LGOs as well, but there's Sloanies and also SDMs who participate in the committee. But they're the ones who source the projects. So you have opportunity to source the projects. So the one in Germany with Porsche was sourced. There was also um, Petronas in Malaysia. And I had some of my close friends were on the Porsche project as well as the one uh, with Petronas. And so the opportunity to travel during spring break to these places is like, it's amazing. You get to meet all these senior leadership and they really value that you're there. And, it really puts things into perspective about some of the great opportunities you get at Sloan. So I'd highly recommend taking advantage of those opportunities. It's also free travel. So can't say no to that.
Love a good free travel. We're next going to transition to the integrated leadership development that's kind of embedded into our program. So some of the ways that individuals are able to sharpen their leadership skills are through formal and informal capacities. As Isabella mentioned, she was the CVC chair for her cohort, and I'm hopeful she can talk a little bit about how that played a role in her Sloan experience when I transitioned to the student portion of things. But we really want to make sure that while you're here with us at Sloan, that you're able to sharpen those skills as far as your leadership is concerned. So whether it be through specific coursework, There are ways that individuals can gain insights on better ways to communicate with individuals. One of our core classes is communications for leadership. So that's a way that folks can sharpen those skills that way. But then if they want to continue on that pathway, they can take the second level course, which is advanced communications for leadership. And sharpen their skills as far as communication is concerned. But other ways that folks can do that are going to also be through working through our leadership center, which can provide you with soft skills coaching, whether it be through 360 leadership mentoring. In addition to that, folks are also able to join anywhere between 80 clubs, 80 to 85 clubs, give or take each year specific to Sloan, and those clubs range from some of the most professional, whether it be the sustainability club, the project management club, finance, you name it. 9 times out of 10, if there's a professional interest, there's a club that represents that interest. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there are some really social clubs. My favorite is the Happy Belly Club, and they just literally go around Boston and eat. And as a huge foodie, it always makes me happy when I'm able to kind of source the places I want to go eat based on where the Happy Belly Club went the day before or the week before. So great ways to strengthen leadership skills through participation in some of the different clubs that are organized here at Sloan. Oftentimes you'll find that clubs host various conferences throughout the course of the year, most notably the MIT Sports Analytics Conference, which is actually the largest student-led conference in the world. If you have not had an opportunity to join us for that, I highly recommend that you visit us during the Sports Analytics Conference. And just a plug to get involved once you decide to join our community. If you want to participate in that conference for free, the best way to do that is to actually volunteer in planning some of the different events. Otherwise, you have to pay in order to attend that conference. But those are just some of the ways that students are able to really develop their leadership skills while they're with us. And I'm gonna turn it over to the students and have them talk a little bit about other ways, whether formally or informally, that they've been able to exercise their leadership skills and develop those skills during the time while they've been with us here at Sloan.
Well, as you were saying, I was the community building chair for my cohort, which was the Baltic one. And I also co-chaired the HBS and MIT Latin American Business Conference, which is the largest Latin American conference in the US as well. So I think both experiences taught me that leadership is really about creating environments where other people can succeed and where, like, whether you're organizing a conference or building a community, you learn a lot about working in teams and really creating something that goes beyond your career. At Sloan, every cohort has students who help foster the culture of the class. And as a community building chair, my role was to create opportunities for people to connect beyond academics. So we were building social events, traditions, activities that made our cohort feel like a real community. And then, as a co-chair for the conference, we were basically bringing policymakers, business people, entrepreneurs, and academics to discuss opportunities and challenges across Latin America and to see how we could build a better region for the future generation. So it was a fantastic opportunity for me to really implement what we were talking about, the mission of MIT Sloan and in general MIT, and like seeing Men's and Manus going live. So it was fantastic.
Yeah, I would like to highlight a couple of experiences, one formal and second via uh, leading a team. So as I mentioned, I was involved in leading the Silicon Valley Trek this year for our class, and we had a team of 8. And this year, the trek was focusing purely on startups, so it was a totally different experience than the last 19, 20 years since the trek has been around. And we got a great opportunity to build a lot of new relationships with founders in the Bay Area, which are coming from Sloan and the larger MIT community. We got a chance to build a partnership with the local Bay Area alumni organizations of MIT and MIT Sloan. And the trek turned out to be to be one of the best Silicon Valley treks in the history, and some of our classmates eventually joined a few of those startups as summer interns. And the biggest part of the success was that some people wrote to us that, oh, you know what, we got such a good exposure to the valley and the startups over there, that we are going to actually move to SF after we graduate and join those small companies, which was the best thing that we ever heard from the trek. On the formal side, there was a course that I took, and I think Isabella also did that course back in her days. It's a course called ID Lab, where we were paired with a leadership executive coach who took 6 sessions for us. Uh, I think it was an amazing experience to be paired with a leadership coach so early in her career. Like, I thought that's usually for top execs, but we were given coaches that would coach top execs. But for me, like, I just had 5 years of work experience. So there are various such leadership courses at Sloan who give you this opportunity to pair with amazing mentors who can like work very deeply and personally with you on your particular goals that you have. So yeah, I'm gonna pass it on to Dakota if he wants to add anything.
Yeah, I think one final summary point, because I'd rather not repeat, just for the advent of time. Everything that Isabella and Aditya said is true. But I think one thing I want to add is all the opportunities for these small moments of leadership, all this informal leadership that happens at Sloan, and those opportunities. So from when you're in a core team and there's a homework, and then you take the lead on the homework and you have to manage the rest of your team, or um, you're planning a trip with your friends and you're the one who has to coordinate everything together, and being in a space with so many like high performing, high functioning people really elevates the bar. I mean, even this summer, a lot of the people from Sloan who are staying in Boston, they've organized a group chat. There's like a weekly restaurant touring, there's running clubs. And so like, to me, this is all ways to express leadership, um, and to really make the experience better for your peers and to build connections. And so I also want to add that there's like leadership throughout every moment. It just might not be that explicit formal leadership in a title that you might be looking for.
I don't know if you all are noticing, but if you're a foodie, the theme of food has come up quite a few times. We're going to transition now to talk a little bit about just the way that students can engage with our faculty. As you heard, Simon Johnson, who won the Nobel Peace Prize a couple years ago, is a faculty member here at Sloan. And our faculty are super engaged as far as just the involvement with our students are concerned. So if I know I saw a question in the chat about engaging in research opportunities, those are available to students in formal and informal basis in some instances. But in terms of just the way that faculty engage with some of our students, obviously you'll have classes taught by them. But then if you want to work under our faculty and do a paid research or be a teaching assistant for a class that you really enjoy, those are options that are available to you. And then like most people at MIT, our professors are really down to earth. I remember one of my first year at Sloan, I was wearing a pair of Jordans, and one of the professors stopped me on the elevator, and we had a full-blown conversation about their Jordan collection. So if you're a sneaker enthusiast like myself, there are professors who are here that also enjoy partaking in the sneaker world. But those are just some of the ways that faculty are engaging with our students more formally and informally. And then we have individual professors that are from who are knowledgeable about a wide variety of different topics, and would love to continue to explore those opportunities with you, not only inside the classroom but outside. So want to give an opportunity for our students to maybe talk a little bit about some of the interactions that they've had with some of our professors and how that has enhanced their experience while they've been at Sloan, whether again formally or informally.
I had the fortune of being a TA for two of the what I think were really life-changing courses. So one of them was Global Business of AI and Robotics, which is also taught by Professor Simon Johnson, Professor Jonathan Rahn, and Professor Eric So. Um, it really was amazing because it's a course that combines both the importance of leadership and understanding the impact that technology is going to have in the human life, but also being able to manage all of the technical compounds of what the technology implies, right? So I thought it was a great way for you to start thinking in a problem-solving way about this technology and how it will impact the world. And then I think for me, a huge part of engaging with professors is actually building relationships with them. There is one professor that I admire deeply as a person, and actually multiple of them, but two of them come to my mind right now about just like being professors of life. One of them is Rama Ramakrishnan, who teaches data models and decisions during core semester. I think he's a wonderful human being, someone that I admire deeply. And he actually is a great coach as well. So I was able to engage with him in multiple conversations around, for example, what to prioritize in life and how to make life choices, because I think during MBA you're constantly thinking about the future and what you want your career to be, but also trying to manage life and being in your late 20s, early 30s. So I think it was just wonderful to be able to touch base with him every now and then on what was happening with my life personally. And then Professor Roberto Rigoon, he's from Venezuela, and I really loved being able to talk about the region, his personal experience being an immigrant and coming to the US and trying to really create an impact in the world. He is actually one of the professors studying uh, how will humanity accomplish AI furtherly. And I think that his research around human capabilities and how that will be the main differentiation with AI coming into the table is something that is fantastic and will win a Nobel Prize further in the next year. So it was just incredible for me to be able to build relationships with them. And I think that just happens because you come to Sloan. So, yes.
Big plus one to whatever Isabella and Ray said. One of the biggest surprises that I had at Sloan is that not the faculty is very accomplished, but the fact that although they are very accomplished, they are always willing to meet people and students. So at the end of every class, like most professors are sharing their Calendly links that, you know what, please reach out to us, reach out to us, reach out to us. And in those links, as and in those sessions, as Isabella mentioned, like you can talk anything about life with those professors, and it's a big privilege to have those discussions with such accomplished people. So, for example, Professor Rama has sold three companies. He's always willing to talk to founders and like give them advice from his experiences. Then there's a professor who teaches communication, Professor Arti. I told her about a venture that I was working on, and for that I needed to talk to seniors or elderly people, and she made the extra effort to like help. She reached out to her parents who are in their 80s and said that, oh, one of my students is working on a venture, and she connected me with them. One of the professors who teaches strategy to us, Professor Don Sal, uh, I ran into him in the cafe very randomly, and I was like, "Oh, I'm working on this. Can I set up time with you?" And he's like, "Okay, why don't we have lunch together right now?" And I had an intense 30-minute discussion with him. Got amazing advice from him just by running into him at Sloan. There are so many such instances, but truly one of the best parts of being at Sloan is just the kind of amazing relationships that you get to develop with your peers and also the faculty.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I recall an instance where I was talking to a professor in their offices, and then I was just walking, back home, and then I passed a professor that I had taken a class before, and he had his door open, and then he called me in, and we had a half-hour conversation. just because he saw me walking around in the professor's office area. I think to give some perspective, those interested in LGO, I do think that there's more opportunity to connect with faculty because we have a thesis and you have to have a Sloan advisor and you have to have an engineering advisor on those theses. So during your internship process, you reach out to a ton of professors, you get to know them, figure out their interests, and then you work with them on your thesis. So LGO, I think, has a little bit more opportunity to develop relationships with some of these amazing faculty.
Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the rewarding career um, aspect of our program. So obviously, we know that you're coming to MIT or pursuing an MBA for a host of different reasons, whether that's to advance your career, build your network, whatever the case may be. But here at Sloan, we take the career piece very important. We want to make sure that our alums are able to do a lot of the different things that their hearts are set on after they've graduated from our program. So I'll start off by sharing that our program is STEM certified. So for those individuals that are coming from an international background, the MBA program here at Sloan does enable you to be able to access OPT after you graduated from our program. If you need to know any of the details about that, you can go on our international students website and they can give you a better breakdown of how that applies to your specific situation. In addition to the STEM certified program, we have a dedicated advising and career support through our career development office here at Sloan. They have an open door policy. They actually share the floor with us across here at in admission, excuse me. And you can meet with anybody in the career development office, preferably by scheduling an appointment. But again, if you just kind of need to walk in and have a quick burning question, they're more than happy to help you, whether that's modifying your LinkedIn, helping you refine a cover letter, whatever the case may be, putting you in contact with some of our different alums who are in the industries that you might be interested in. That's a great resource in terms of the career develop your career development and helping you reach a lot of the different goals that you're interested in reaching after you graduated from our program. In addition to that, there are a host of networking and recruiting opportunities with top companies across throughout the course of the school year, with a number of individuals coming from a consulting background. If you're somebody who's thinking about transitioning or pivoting into that career path, I will share over the course of the academic school year. It feels like the big four consulting firms are here hosting coffee chats and networking events throughout the course of the academic school year on a very frequent cadence. So a great way to connect with recruiters in those spaces if that's something that you're interested in, or potentially um, connecting with the classmate who's sponsored coming from any of those different companies if they can give you potentially insight on ways to get your foot in the door as far as that is concerned. And then lastly, we do have a very engaged alumni network. You'll see later on in the slide deck that we have alums pretty much anywhere that you can possibly step foot on the world, or in the world, excuse me. So I'm very happy to always engage with you and the fact that you have the MIT email address. Once you shoot them an email, as Adi mentioned, when they took the trek to Silicon Valley, like I'm almost confident that the majority of those companies were founded by Sloanies. So they were always happy to extend an arm to the Sloan community. Um, so definitely want to tap into a lot of the resources that are going to be available to you as far as your career path is concerned. And with that, would love to hear from our students on how they've been able to navigate their career journey through some of the resources that have made themselves available to them during their time at Sloan.
I think you mentioned everything that it's available, but I do have one anecdote. I am a person that is deeply passionate about the intersection of financial services, technology, and there's one person that I genuinely admire. He's not part of like the alumni community, I would say, but I did use my MIT email to send a note. He's currently the president of the Bank Group. His name is Ajay Banga. And I sent him an email saying that I was deeply interested in meeting him and learn about leadership. And he got back to me immediately, and I was able to travel all the way to DC last March to have a one-on-one conversation with him and just understand a bit better about like challenges in leadership, how to change the world, and what's coming up next for the World Bank and multilateral organizations. So for me, it was a life-changing opportunity that you can leverage on your MIT network, I would say. And then, of course, as a conference chair, I was able to really rely on the alumni network to be able to bring some of the most important policymakers, academics, entrepreneurs, and Latin Americans that are making a difference around the world. And it was truly helpful to be able to leverage that MIT brand.
Ajay Banga is definitely one of the inspiring leaders for me as well, and I don't think I can. I
It
have
was
a story
amazing.
as well. So amazing that you reached out to him and it worked out. For me personally, I've been focusing on entrepreneurship and so I haven't dealt a lot with the career office, but the biggest reason I came to Sloan is the kind of support that alumni gave when I was in the application process. So I'm going to share one instance that happened in 2024 when I was applying. So I reached out to a founder. I wanted to learn about how Sloan and MIT help in starting companies, and I reached out to someone on LinkedIn who I didn't know. And she started a company right out of Sloan, and she knew that I'm in Boston for a week when we spoke, and then she reached out to one of her profs that, oh, this is a potential applicant, and he's in Boston for a week, and he wants to get exposed to the entrepreneurship ecosystem, and can he sit in your class? And I mean, like, uh, I'm having a hard time just setting up time with people in other schools. And here there's a person who is running her company right now, who is reaching out to a professor to see if I can sit on their class. That just There are several such instances that happened in my Sloan application process, and that very clearly made me pick like told me that, oh, Sloan is the place where I would like to be. Like, this is the community of which I would like to be a part of, where people are like helping each other out and going way out of their ways in doing so.
Sloanies helping future Sloanies. So, I had a very similar experience where I was interested in the LGO program and I reached out to a prominent alumni who was at the company I was working at just to learn about the program. And then through us meeting, 2 or 3 times, he connected me with the LGO program office, and I ended up being in Boston for a trip with my wife, and I was able to come to MIT and set up a one-on-one meeting with some of the directors here, just to talk to them about the program. And like that experience over all the other schools that I was applying to, it just showed how caring that Sloan was for potential applicants, and they really care about what's best for you and what fits with your life, which I think is really valuable. Um, One thing that LGO has on top of what Sloan has is we have a seminar every Monday where we bring in prominent alumni, and they get to come talk to us about their experiences. And honest, it's been pretty fantastic. We've had some pretty amazing speakers come in. Um, but the alumni base is extremely engaged. They come to campus all the time. The LGO program is also a sponsored program by with partners. So what that means is there's a bunch of companies that sponsor the program, and you get a bit of a fellowship for being in the program. And through that, there's networking events. The whole summer they're here every Wednesday. They take you out to dinner, and it's just a great experience. In January, you tour all their facilities, so you fly around the country. So you take like 6 or 7 flights. You visit 12 different cities. You go to Boeing and see their manufacturing facility where they build their planes. You go to Amazon's headquarters. You get a bunch of just amazing experiences that you'd never get otherwise. That's just because of how engaged these recruiting opportunities are with these companies. They love Sloan, and they love the students here.
Heard a little bit about how it plays itself out. through some of the previous responses. So we're not going to spend too much time on this point, but want to let you know that again, there are a number of opportunities to connect with the wider MIT community and resources, whether that be through specific clubs and organizations. As I mentioned earlier, there are 80 clubs specific to Sloan. But then if you're somebody who is interested in poker, which is something that I know folks can be interested in, there's not a poker club at Sloan, but there's a poker club at MIT undergrad. You can certainly feel free to go and play with them and play poker with them. As I mentioned earlier, there are additional opportunities to take classes across the institute and at Harvard as well. So great ways to really expand your access or your reach to not only undergrads, but or rather folks across the broader MIT, but that also extends itself to Harvard as well. And then there's a number of opportunities as far as just our programs are concerned to study in a global innovation hub, as far as just the makeup of our student body, as far as where they're coming from, not only as far as their upbringing, but then also their professional experiences as well.
I actually have a core team member who is getting married um, from the fall, and so they're going to it's like a they don't have like a big wedding plan. It was like very quick. So they went to City Hall, and we're gonna get hot pot, in like 2 weeks as a way to celebrate. But like the fact that like we're involved in that experience shows how like quickly you can bond on working on these teams. I don't know. It's just been a great experience. Like you're able to get so close to so many people. And I think Sloan, the design of it's very intelligent. Like these forced social interactions where you're forced to meet and rely on all these new people. It's just a great way to meet people and build lifelong friendships.
Definitely. In my core team, personally, I think we were all extremely different. So there were people from that were Korean American, Italian, Ukrainian, Chinese. Then there was me that was from Colombia, and then we had two Americans, and I think we were all very different, and it was just like perfect because we were able to really see how diverse is Sloan and to we also all had different backgrounds and it's just like really cool that you get to be so close to so many people that otherwise I don't think you would be friends with just because like it's not organically, I think, normally. So the fact that you're put into a position where you guys work together and then get to know each other and really become friends is wonderful. And I think, for example, our Korean American friend took us to Korea during the spring break, and it was just like wonderful to see and to be able to just like get to know the world with these people that you meet during class and then become your lifelong friends. So amazing stuff from the core class.
Next, I'm going to touch on just really quickly MIT Alumni Network. As you heard earlier, our alums are pretty much everywhere and more than happy to engage with you once you join our alumni network, and in some instances, possibly beforehand. But specific to MIT, we have over 150,000 alums globally. And then specific to Sloan, we have close to 32,000 alums, which allow us to have 90 plus MIT Sloan specific alumni clubs in countries worldwide. But then when you expand that to the broader MIT, that number actually balloons to 130 plus. So with that being said, again, there's virtually no place in the world that you can go and there not be an MIT or an MIT Sloan presence um, specific to those areas. Lastly, if you're somebody who's interested in entrepreneurship and innovation, the MIT Martin Trust Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation is a MIT-wide resource for folks who are interested in that space. They conducted a study about a few years ago. I don't remember the exact timeline, but when we actually conducted the study, we saw that there are currently 30,000 active companies founded by MIT alum. And when we accounted for their GDP, they actually were ranked 10th or 11th in terms of their output, which is pretty remarkable considering the fact that MIT is outpacing a lot of global markets as contribution to the world is concerned. So something to think about in terms of just entrepreneurship and innovation if that's a space that you're interested in. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about just the career guidance for every stage of your journey. So here at MIT, we fully believe that your career journey is embedded into every single thing that you do while you're here with us. Of course, it starts with the Career Development Office, but then in addition to that, some of the classes that you take are also going to help you as far as your career advancements are concerned. Through leadership opportunities and participation opportunities through some of the different clubs that are available to you here at Sloan. As I mentioned earlier, you're able to sharpen those leadership skills, whether it be through conferences and competitions. Um, and then, as far as competitions are concerned, if you're again somebody who's interested in entrepreneurship and innovation, you do have the opportunity to join the MIT 100K challenge. And should you win that, MIT will actually give you 100K in seed funding to do whatever your heart desires as far as your startup is concerned. So again, tying in a lot of the different resources that MIT has to offer to help you as far as your career journey is concerned. And then lastly, as I mentioned with the MIT 100K challenge, the MIT community is here to support you in every step along the way as far as your career journey is concerned. So if there are things that you're passionate about, if time permitted, I'm sure each of our students could talk about ways that they've been able to leverage just by being leverage the MIT community as part of their journey. As Adi mentioned with the trip to San Francisco, again, the Bay Area, that was partly due to the MIT community and having such a strong presence in the Bay Area as far as that trek was concerned. If you're interested in exploring a number of different pathways, this slide here just really quickly outlines some of the different career paths that Sloanies have pursued after they've completed our programs. You can see there's a wide range of titles as far as positions are concerned and representing a number of different industries. You'll see that for the MBA program, technology is really well represented, and a lot of that is because some of our students come out of these programs having established their own startups and assumed roles in those startups in some of the different positions that you see here, in addition to some of the other career paths that are also highlighted on the slide. I'm going to apologize in advance for rushing through these slides. I want to make sure that we do leave time for Q&A, so that's why we're kind of going through them as quickly as we are. This slide will just quickly highlight some of the top industries and employers for individuals graduating from our programs. You'll see that again, technology, finance, consulting, and healthcare are all industries that are well represented in each of our different programs. And these are just some of the different programs that have been, or companies rather, that have been started out of MIT. You'll notice that there are some really notable companies up here, whether it be HubSpot, Khan Academy, Intel, iRobot, to name a few. But again, just a quick glimpse into the entrepreneurship legacy that you'll have an opportunity to join should you decide to pursue MBA here with us at Sloan. For those of you that are joining us, whether you're near or far, I encourage you to continue to engage with our office. If we did not answer your question, I sincerely apologize. You can certainly feel free to reach out to us via email, where we would be more than happy to continue the conversation. I'll also share that a lot of the questions that I saw in the chat, we do have a number of upcoming events that address those specific topics. So, for example, I know that there were a string of questions related to AI. We'll actually have an AI session on August 3rd. That's going to be virtual, that you can feel free to join us by just simply scanning this QR code and looking at the full list of upcoming events that we have. I'll also add really quickly that if any of this interests you, we would love to welcome you to campus. We'll start our class visit program at the end of September. A great way to come to campus, sit in on a class, and connect with students over lunch, and also hear from either myself or another member of the admissions team for a quick overview, and also have any of your questions answered at that point in time. We covered a lot this morning. I'd love to thank our panelists and my colleagues for joining me. We definitely appreciate you all for joining us, whether you're near or far, and we look forward to having you join us here at Sloan in the near future.